Okay, you're welcome back once again to our weekly market outlook, then and setup analysis. Right, I hope you had a very great week last week. Right, a very quick one. I will implore everyone, right, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Instagram, and also to join our Telegram channel. These are the pages where we share more educational materials that will really help you. Really, they will really help you uh, in your FS trading career, right? And also, you can do well to study our free mentorship class, whereby we provide trainings for free. Then they are actually in the playlist. You can study them and study them over and over again for you to become profitable. Then at the same time, there are some videos also that will be helpful for you, just like how I analyze my charts, which is how to study my flashcard. All these videos are made available for you in the in this particular YouTube channel. All right, thank you once again. Make sure you subscribe, share, and hit the um, bell button to receive notification anytime I upload more videos. Right. Today, just like our culture, we'll be looking at different pairs and we'll be expecting what might likely take place from this pair. Right. And this is not a signal, all right, and I'm not a financial advisor, and I will implore you to carry out your own proper research before you take any trade on your life account. All right, so we will start with DXY, which is dollar index, and you can see that this pair has really been bullish, right? Has really been bullish. Then we have markets coming back to take out this liquidity, which is an old high here. It took out this particular liquidity, the market reverse. And before then, based on what I teach, I love to tell my students to focus on the current market structure. And you can see the current market structure of this particular pair, which is DXY dollar index, is bullish, right? You can see at this particular zone, market took out liquidity. After taking out liquidity, then breaks market structure, took out this old high. Then we can see the market was retracing back into this area. If you go to daily time frame, in daily time frame, you will really see what we have here. This market really consolidated for about 2 months, right? 2 months that we have the consolidation, and based on the power of three, right? The power of three AMD, right? It is actually an ICT term, right? It's not my words. That's ICT concept that I introduced in my own trading style, right? You can see that at the beginning of this month, after the consolidation, market really give us a manipulation to the downside. So with this, we'll be expecting more trend, bullish trend on this pair. And this is actually is not absolute, right? It's not absolute. And if you can check the weekly once again, you will see, you look at this particular order block. All right, and in going down to a lower time frame just to refine this OB for us to get the exact zone where this market would likely reverse from, right? We can go to daily time frame, right, and reduce this OB, and you can see how market pull back to this daily OB, and it's finding a rejection at a particular zone. So we are expecting market to give us a structure which is a bullish structure on at least 1 hour or 4 hour time frame for us to know that okay, this trend has been established. You can see what happened on the 4 hour time frame. This took out liquidity, then came back to break market structure, then it's forming something like a shift in market structure in this particular area, right? In this particular area, all right, you can see what is going on here. It took out this liquidity, came back, break this structure, then giving us something like a shift, but it's not so obvious there until we get to the 1 hour time frame. In the 1 hour time frame, you can see it, right? This took out liquidity, then breaks this structure, then the market came back to retest this zone, and we can see this has already shifted to a bullish order flow. So with this, I'll be expecting market to give me a manipulation to the upside, to the downside when this market open. Then I want to see this market going higher for the rest of the week and probably for the rest of this month, right? So we will also look at another pair, which is Euro USD, right? Euro USD. Um, let's quickly look at that on Euro USD. Now, Euro USD, we can see that this market has also been really in a downward movement. Then you can see the consolidation right? The manipulation, manipulation, taking a resistance at this particular trap, right? This particular trap, right? Uh, week, this particular trapped week, market pull back into that zone. Now, if you go back to a lower time frame than that, you will see that that particular trapped uh, OB that I've already marked is an OB on a daily time frame. As you can see, is an OB. The market pull back into this. So with this, and we want to see a change of trend in at least 4 hour time frame, right, for us to continue with this trend. And this suggests to us that when this market open, can see this took out liquidity, then came back, break market structure. And before that, right, before that particular instance, the market has already given us a shift in market structure here, which is really showing a um a change of trend, right? I will be expecting market to pull back to this zone, and we'll be expecting more downside on this pair. And the same thing, we'll be looking at USDCHF. USDCHF on the weekly time frame, you can see that it's almost the same thing with the dollar index. Right now, we've already talked about the dollar index, and we'll be making use of this to trade every other USD pairs if they will follow. This is not how the market always moves, because sometimes when the dollar index is actually bullish and USD and Euro USD might be doing something different. All right. So with this, we can see the consolidation here again. Let's go to the daily time frame. You can see the consolidation here. The market came back, rejected at this particular block. Then we are seeing the rejection. So we can go to 4 hour time frame. Let's see what the 4 hour is saying. On the 4 hour time frame, right when the market open, I will be looking at this particular zone, right? Probably this particular breaker here to serve as a rejection zone for us, where this market will get rejected for it to pull back before we see more upside on that. And on the 1 hour time frame, we can see that the trend has really changed. So with this, I will be seeing more or much more downside on this pair for the beginning of the week before we see more upside. And this is really what we'll be looking at in this coming week. Then we're going to look at GBPUSD. GBPUSD on the daily time frame, we can see that this pair came back to take out uh, old eyes, this particular equal eyes. They came back to take out this particular equal eyes, then got rejected at this breaker here, got rejected at this breaker here after taking out this liquidity. So with this, at least we're expecting market to at least come back to this OB before, if at all, market will continue to go upside before we can see more upside on this. But this suggests to us that anytime we have a selling opportunity on this pair, we can sell it to that block before we continue. So with this, we can expect market to pull back to this OB, or if at all, take out this liquidity with this particular Friday's high, then get rejected at this particular zone before we see more upside, and at least probably this zone, right? This particular zone will be where we'll be expecting market to reject from. This particular zone here, we'll be expecting market to reject from here or on this OB before we see more upside on this. But for now, we want to see it coming back to this zone before we're in there. Now, let's go to 1 hour time frame and see what we might likely expect. So when the market open, we want to see it going higher, probably take out the Friday's high. So with this, we can get rejection at this particular trap, right? Can get rejection at that particular zone, right? One market to take out that particular high, get rejected here before we see downside, and that downside should lead us to this zone, and this is a interest zone where we might likely going to buy based on the daily structure that we have, right? And the next pair we're going to look at is on Euro JPY. Euro JPY, we can see that this pair also is now bullish, right? Is now bullish, and if you check the weekly time frame, on the weekly time frame, we can see that this particular old eye has been taken. And with this, on a normal instance, we are expecting when old eye has been raided, we want it to move a little bit backward before we see more continuation. Then on the daily time frame, also, as you can see what is going on there, the best zone to buy this pair might really be this area or probably this area, but this is not a very good zone for us. So this particular area might be a zone where we might likely going to buy this pair from. But anyway, looking at the 4 hour time frame also, on the 4 hour time frame, as you can see, the structure is already down. So when this market open, all right, I want to see it taking out this high and really get rejection and really go down, probably to when we get to this daily OB before we see rejection. So on the 1 hour time frame, right, on the 1 hour time frame, right, seeing the 1 hour time frame, this is really bearish. So market is getting rejected at this OB. So I want it to come back, take out this I, something like an equal I, probably get rejected at this particular trap here, right? Then before we see more upside, I mean downside on this pair till we get to the buying zone, right? The next pair we're going to look at is CADJPY. On CADJPY on the weekly time frame, right, we can see that this pair is already giving us a shift in market structure, right? Because it's actually what I call an inverse pattern. For me, right, this particular zone might be a very interest zone for us. And if at all, if market did not get there, probably this breaker in which market has already gotten to that zone. But anyway, let's look at the daily time frame and see what is going on there. Now, on the daily time frame, I really want markets to pull back to this zone for us to look for a buy. This particular zone for us to look for a buy. And this suggests to us that we'll be expecting market to pull back to this zone before we look for a buy. Now, this is not for you to take the signal, because when the market open, this market can really change, and we might not really send an update for that. So this is just to give you an hint on what is happening in the market. Uh, we want to see market going higher, getting rejection here by this particular zone. Then before market will come back to this zone and go higher. But if markets open and market just begin to drop, we want to see if there's going to be rejection. This is not for you to set your pending order. It's just for you to see the reaction of the market at this particular zone. If market now change the trend, then we can really follow it up, because on the daily time frame we can see that the trend is higher. Then on the weekly time frame also the trend is up. Then we want to look at on gold, right? For gold, we can see gold has been really consolidating here, right? Has been consolidating here. The best zone to really buy gold will really be this area, right? This particular area will be the best zone for gold buying. So we want these liquidities to be taken and for gold to bounce on this before we look for it to buy. And that's actually going to be a very good zone for you. Then marking this very well, this will be, I've already marked this sometimes ago, about, I can't really count how many weeks now, right? We predicted that this pair should fall after taking out this high, and that was what really happened. This particular high was taken out, then we're expecting market to pull back, and as you can see, what is happening here, um, this zone we want it to serve as a rejection zone where market pull back to the zone. Then before we take the trade for a downtrend, we want to see at least a change in market structure in the 1 hour time frame. In the 1 hour time frame, this is actually still very, very constant and not changing. So the pair still remain up. So you cannot choose to sell this pair now until there is a change of trend on 1 hour time frame before that. But if at all that will not hold, you can still stick to your buying opportunity, which is on this OB, right? Which is on this OB, and refining this, we can really look at this particular zone as where market we get rejected from. Prime market back to this, or let me use this zone, this particular zone where market will pull back to, then we find the rejection. But I really want to see a rejection here, because the daily is showing a bearish sign. Really, daily, even though it's consolidating, it's showing a bearish sign. So I want it to really sell down to this zone before I will be a buyer. And lastly, we're going to look at Juice, which is USD 30, right? On the weekly time frame, we can already see that this pair is now bullish, because we have a shift in market structure in this particular area. All right, on the um, daily time frame, this should really be a very good zone for us to buy this pair. Again, this particular zone should be a very good zone for us to buy. So we are expecting market to really pull back to this zone before we be a buyer. But anyway, um, based on what we have here, we are expecting, this already shows to us that this H4 is bearish. So we're expecting it to give us a selling pattern probably until we get to this zone and buy. But the best thing on this space is just to wait for a buying opportunity. And if you see a buying pattern or buying rule based on your own methodology, then you can really follow it. Right, guys, and this is what I have for you for today. right? And just like what I said, this is not a financial advice for you to buy a particular currency or to sell it, or for you to invest in one thing or the other. This is just to guide you and just to give you our own thoughts and opinions about what might likely happen in the market for the coming week. Right. Thank you very much for joining in. Right. Once again, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell, notification bell, for you to be notified anytime we upload more educational materials. And make sure you join our Telegram channel. This is where we post our flashcards. Flashcards are past rates that will really make you to learn from. And also, once in a while, we do send our setup for you to take. Right. And also, you can follow us on Instagram, and also to learn from the page. Right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you in the next section. Thank you, and God bless you.